From running over Mel Gibson in Mad Max to blowing up Tom Hardy on Fury Road, George Miller is one of the most ambitious directors in the world.
George will ask you to do things which may seem insane. You're not really in a movie. You're in George's head.
Come and visit your ma.
But he's also proven he's got a softer side, from talking pigs
La la la.
to tap dancing penguins,
Woo!
which finally earned him an Academy Award, more than 2 decades after the first of his 5 nominations.
Thank you.
Here to talk about all of that and this year's Tropfest, please welcome Dr. George Miller. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Weekly. Now, Tropfest is coming up. It's on the 11th of February. It's the 25th year of the short film competition, but that almost didn't happen. It was touch and go there for a while.
Yeah, after 25 years of it growing, John Paulson, who's the master behind it, the brilliant guy who sort of started it all those years ago, he licensed it out. It was mismanaged and it fell away. And luckily, an insurance company, CGU, came out of the woodwork and said, look, we can't let this fall down. And people have come, rallied around it, and it's up again.
Filmmaking has been a boys' club for a very long time.
Yeah.
But this year, it's actually even the entrance between male and female directors.
Yeah.
That must be very exciting.
Well, it's really interesting because there's 16 finalists, and the people who pre-select the films are watching them blind. Because I thought, OK, whoever selected the last group of films, we're just trying to make sure we got 50-50. But no, I was told that it was done blind. So that's really a great experiment, really. I can't think of a better way to break into the film industry. It's amazing over the 25 years the kind of careers that emerged out of Tropfest. It was fantastic.
So you were a doctor before you got into this game.
Yeah.
How did you balance that? How did you make films and also, save lives?
I didn't save lives.
But how did you balance a career and then trying to start another one?
Well, it wasn't a deliberate thing. Back then, there was really no career to be had in film. And I was a doctor, but I was very, very interested in film mainly, and had a tremendous sense of inquiry and wanted to understand what this thing we call film language was and the technology of it. So, like this whole group of people, we'd go out with no money, we'd make little films. We'd borrow equipment, we'd work it on each other's films. And one day, I kind of looked up and saw that I was spending more time making films than I was being a doctor. And I was lucky enough to have success early with the first Mad Max. That was the first time I'd ever really been on a proper film set. And I had no idea what I was doing, and none of us really did. But we had that sort of drive. We planned it as best we could. And so I ended up forgetting how to be a doctor and getting to know how to be a filmmaker.
How important is a name to the success of a movie? Would Mad Max have been as successful if it was Mad Graham?
I don't think so.
I know a couple of Grahams,
Yeah.
and they can get furious.
Yeah. A name, a title is, look, everything, you've got to fire on all cylinders, and a title is really, really critical. I mean, there can be great titles and bad movies, and it doesn't mean they're going to be successful. But there was one point with Mad Max where before it came out, we thought it sounds too much like a comedy. So for a while there, the distributor Roadshow said, think of other titles. And we were going to call it Heavy Metal. But luckily, someone said, nah, there's something about the words Mad Max that worked really well. And I'm so grateful because they said, OK, let's go back to Mad Max. This was just before it was released, within a week or two of it being released. The posters had to be rearranged, and it came out as Mad Max. So I think somehow it stuck, it impinged on the world monoculture, and people refer to Mad Max. So a title can be important.
Now, I want to ask you about Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
But his movie Hacksaw Ridge is up for 6 Oscars this year. Do you think he's a better actor or director?
Well, I think he is an extremely good actor. When he first came out of Mad Max, he'd come out of NIDA. He's very steeped in Shakespeare and very verbal, very skilled, and like almost comes naturally. But as good an actor he is, he's a great director. For whatever you think of Mel, there's no question about his abilities as a director. By the time we were doing the second Mad Max, he's not one of these actors who'd run straight to his trailer. Wherever we were, he'd just sit on the set and watch everything. And one day I suddenly realised, oh, hey Mel, you're going to be directing, aren't you, one day? And he sort of nodded and smiled. But he's just observed everything, and I'm sure he's done that. And yeah, he's a wonderful filmmaker.
He hasn't been without controversy, and that's a really polite way of putting it.
Yeah.
Do you think, though, if he wins an Oscar, that all is forgiven, that will be some kind of cleansing experience?
I don't know. I don't know what Oscars mean.
Well, you've won one.
Yeah, but I don't know what...
Then again, you weren't mopping up the kind of mess that Mel might be mopping up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I whatever dark side I have, we're there, maybe there in the films. Look, Mel, there's a terrible sorrow to Mel. I mean, I remember when I heard some of those tapes that he did, I actually started to cry. I've never done that with someone before, because I thought the pain and sorrow and just the torture of all of that. And in a way, I think that's what makes actors interesting in one way, the paradox, because to meet him, I don't know if you've ever interviewed him or met him, but he is a very kind, lovely guy. But then that other stuff, that dark stuff roiling in there. And I think that's what makes actors fascinating in some way. Certainly winning Oscars and that doesn't absolve anybody. Like winning presidency doesn't...
Definitely not a cleansing experience. Tropfest is February 11. Check it all out. Would you please thank the wonderful Dr. George Miller.